Richard, the first question is for you. Brandon mentioned that the internet is the heart of the digital workplace, the center of culture. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think I don't think it's really ever been the center of culture. Culture is kind of everywhere. It's in the experiences of an employee throughout the entire journey of an employee, and representing alignment in culture is pretty much the main emphasis of an intranet, right? And comms does have a part to play in that. Comms is a way to create that alignment, but it's not what drives it. As an example, you could take performance management, and that would have a bigger impact. If you asked a question like, "How have others helped you? How have you helped others?" In your performance reviews, quarterly, yearly, whenever that happens, that would be a good indicator that collaboration is important to your organization culturally, and that's an emphasis point. But if you didn't have that question, it would also be really telling because it would tell you that there's a gap. Again, representing your culture for performance, rewards, recognition. Again, things that are a much better driver of cultural shift over time. I think another big one is, distributed is better in most of these models. So imagine for a moment, I took my profile picture of my face inside of Microsoft 365. You can actually have sort of an image over top of it, an overlay of it. And when you do something like that with this sort of visual flair, if I had something like an award there and I had that for say a month or so, right after I received that award, everyone who interacts with me, whether it's by email, whether it's in Teams, et cetera, would go, "Oh, he's won that award. Let me ask him about that. Let me congratulate him about that." And that would make that much more meaningful, especially if that award, recognizes a cultural, shift, right? Moving towards more collaboration or other types of cultures that we're trying to drive. And similar to that, if we have, the recognition and these types of things follow our profiles, that tends to lead to more success. So again, I totally agree. Like, it's competitive talent market right now, and even if it wasn't, it's super important to emphasize and support culture with our digital tools. I do think, again, comms and even messaging in the internet might have a part to play in that, but it's a very small part where the collaboration journeys, the experiences that we do from a performance management experiences, and much more. I think those things drive the overall culture.
Amazing. Brandon, really quickly, how would you rebuttal that?
I would say that absolutely. That's a really good point. Culture isn't just the internet, it's the collective experience of the whole. But what better way to emphasize and accelerate that than through the portal, right? I could have colleagues down in Brazil and I do not get the chance to interface with them every day or see the events that they've had or the offsites that they've collected with one another or a newborn child for that matter. There's a way to be able to amplify that kind of news, and that's just the medium the internet provides. Whether or not it's taken advantage of, that remains to be seen, but it is still possible, and I've seen many, many, many effective examples from organizations over 100,000 people down to organizations that are just 75 large. Of course, the culture will depend upon the region, the type of industry you're in, so on and so forth, but it's just more than amplifying bits and pieces here and there. We also want to have something easier, simple to digest, not another system to inundate us on our day to day. Sometimes we just want to pick up the newspaper and go, I know how many sections are here. I know exactly where to go that information instead of having to pick and choose every day when I come into the office.